Hello, community. It is way past midnight, and I'm having my philosophical discussion with GPT-4 about about the future of university, the classical university education. And I instruct GPT-4 to argue that the classical university education is not suited anymore for our current times, and we are looking for a modification of this university that includes the follow-on concept of lifelong learning when you leave university, and that we have more importance on the creativity at a university and to challenge yourself much more than in a classical university background, to discover your talents, things that you never experienced before. So I say, let's have this critical discourse for our Western life, if you want, university education, and what ways there are to draft the path to the future. So GPT-4 comes back and says, thank you for setting the stage. The traditional university model, which has served us well for centuries, is increasingly becoming outdated in the face of rapid technological advancements and the evolving needs of our society. The classical form often focus on theoretical knowledge with heavy emphasis on memorization and regurgitation of facts, may not fully prepare students for the real-world challenges they will face in their career. Concept of lifelong learning, continuous acquisition of knowledge and skill throughout one life is more important. However, traditional university system fails to foster creativity and innovation. The rigid structure, the standardized curriculum, can stifle individuality and discourage students from thinking outside of the box. And then I said, okay, but a university has also an advantage for young people to have social interaction with other people that are interested or that have the same interest like I do when I visit a university. So it is not only the stuff that we learn, but the way we learn this new thing and the way we integrate ourselves in this community of learners. We develop new social skills, and we find out that there's maybe something interesting to learn. And we continue to learn this, and we have multiple paths in front of us. And GPT-4 comes back and says, you raise a valid point. The social aspect of university education is indeed a significant part of the experience and can contribute greatly to the student's personal development. The opportunity to interact with peers who share similar interests, engage in intellectual debates, participate in extracurricular activities, and form lifelong friendship is a unique aspect of university life that is hard to replicate in other learning environments. And then GPT comes with here the new technologies, virtual platform, social media, online forums, social media groups, virtual conferences. So we are living now in a digital environment. And lifelong learning does not necessarily mean learning in isolation. You can attend workshop and seminar and courses where individuals can interact with each other. So I said, I agree with the statement that the learning experience should not only be intellectually, but also socially exciting. And I would even say it should have the possibility that you can touch it real life at the university. You get in contact with companies or corporations that might hire you after the study. Or you go there for a summer for an internship to get some industrial perspective on the topic that you are studying. And so, yeah. And it is the question if this kind of the pure virtual world classroom, where we have Zoom or Skype or whatever new technology we have with virtual reality coming up here, I don't know if this really can substitute the real thing. And GPT-4 comes back and says, your point about the irreplaceable nature of physical, real-world experiences is well taken. And it says, indeed, the tactile, emotional, and communal aspects of learning in a traditional university settings are unique and are valuable. The opportunity to engage in hand-on experiments, to feel the thrill of discovery, to experience the camaraderie of working together in a lab, or to engage in lively face-to-face debates in a classroom. These are experiences that are difficult to replicate in a virtual environment. But of course, since GPT-4 is arguing for an evolution of the university role in our society, in our educational perspective, it says the avenues for learning are expanding and making education more accessible and flexible. Real-life learning, real-world experience still play a crucial role. Workshops, seminars, yes. And as technology can enhance real-world experience rather than replace them. So virtual reality can be used to simulate real-world scenarios for training purposes, or to take students on virtual field trips to places they would not be able to visit actually. So physical platforms and digital platforms can interact, facilitate collaboration on real-world projects. And I said, okay, so if I want to augment now the classical university education with new technology, with AI, with new digital interaction channels, how would we try to increase here this enjoyment of a university and also this knowledge pool that is suddenly available to the students? Because maybe we do not have to stick to the classical curriculum, where you have the analysis 1, then you have analysis 2, then you have analysis 3, and you know. So how would you integrate this? And GPT-4 comes back, says, integration of technology and an AI into university education can indeed open up a wealth of opportunities for enhancing the learning experience and catering to individual interest and capabilities. So, personal learning paths. AI can be used to analyze a student's learning style, its interest, the progress on a personalized learning path could involve recommending courses or resources that align with the student interest or adjust the pace of learning to suit the student's capabilities. This would allow students to learn at their own pace and explore areas of interest that go maybe even beyond the traditional curriculum. About interactive learning tools. Digital platforms can offer a variety of interactive learning tools, simulation, virtual labs, and gamified learning experiences. These tools can make learning so much more engaging and apply the knowledge that the student gained in practical scenarios. Collaborative learning. Digital platform can facilitate collaboration among students, regardless of their geographical location. Working together on project, and then access to a wide range of resources, ebooks, research papers, educational videos, a knowledge pool available to students like never before. And of course, you have real feedback and support from an AI. If you're a student that are learning and the AI looks over your shoulder, sees where you struggle, AI can help you to identify the areas of your strength, of your knowledge, and the areas where you might need improvement. Also provide support by answering questions or clarifying doubts. If an AI can analyze that you are not sure about a particular topic or that you do not understand a particular aspect of something, the AI can zoom in and give you here further instruction or explanation. And so I said, okay, I remember when I started at 8 o'clock in the morning in the university, my first class, and I left in late afternoon, the university. I went home, read all my books, done my homework. And I never had the chance to experience these virtual reality simulations and these virtual communication channels like today. And I believe that a university is just the start. It is just the foundation of our future. So how do we carefully modify this century-old model of a university. And GPT-4 comes back and says, augmentation of the classical university education with technology and AI. Here is what a day can look like. And this is an interesting aspect, that it gives you a perspective of through my eyes as a student. Flexible schedules. Instead of fixed class times, students could have the flexibility to learn at their own pace and at a time that suits them best. Maybe you have a job and you go to university at the same time, or you have recorded lectures, online resources, digital assignments that you can access anytime and everywhere you are, and maybe record a video at 1 o'clock in the night. Interactive learning. Instead of passive listening to a lecture or in a lecture hall, students could engage in interactive learning experiences. You learn best when you play with something, not when you are sitting still and you listen for hours and hours and hours to an old professor that writes on a blackboard. My goodness. So this could involve participating in virtual reality simulation. Yes, yes, yes. Again, personalized learning paths. Instead of following a one-size-fits-all curriculum, students could have a personal learning path tailored to their interest and their capabilities. Real-world experience, yes. And a life after the university, the skills and habits developed in this augmented learning environment could be highly beneficial even if you leave the university. You start your professional career. You start your professional job. Maybe you say, hey, I want to go to a startup company or whatever. So, concept of lifelong learning will be the norm rather than the expectation. Yes, yes, yes. And then I come and I say, but how can we integrate this element of creativity in our scientific study? I think it's not enough just to learn everything by heart and then never experience here the real feeling. And I've never encountered a real problem that I could solve. Because, yeah, I have been working in a lot of different physical labs and laboratory work and all the curriculum, and yes, and a lot of testing and experience, but there was never a burning problem in my heart and my hand that I needed to solve, that I needed to be creative, that I needed to somehow form a network of my complete knowledge that I learned at the university and apply now to this particular problem and find a solution. So how can I integrate this creativity aspect in the university? So even if then after the life after university, how can I build up here this trust I have in my ability, in my creativity, to come up with new solutions based on the knowledge that I learned at the university? And GPT-4 comes, you're absolutely right. I like when an AI tells me that I'm absolutely right. This feels good. Creativity is a crucial component of scientific study and problem solving, and it is something that should be encouraged and nurtured in an educational setting. Here are a few ways that creativity can be integrated into an augmented university education model. You have the problem-based learning. Instead of focusing purely here on the theory, courses could be designed around real-world problems that need solving. This could give students the opportunity to apply the knowledge and think creatively to come up with solutions themselves. Interdisciplinary study, outside of their main field of study. If you have projects where you can collaborate with other teams, interdisciplinary, stimulate creativity, innovation labs, create extra spaces where students are encouraged to experiment, to innovate, to create. My goodness, I remember at my university we were not allowed to do some experiments of what we thought would be interesting. We had a catalog and we were only allowed to do certain experiments that were in this list. My goodness. Mentorship. I had no mentor at my university. I just had professors, but not one mentor. So mentorship would be great for young students. Failure. Failure is a learning tool, absolutely. We should be allowed to take risks, not be afraid if you do not have here a sehr gut or an excellent, but maybe, yeah, you test out something brand new and you will fail. This is per definition the way we learn as human beings. So this should finally be allowed at a university. Oh well, and then yes, then I had an idea. Okay, I'm so sorry for you, but I make it fast. Here in this, I say, hey, I just watched a TV series, a documentation about the development of an airplane in the 1950s in the USA, in the time of the Cold War, and this airplane was, of course, the U-2, a spy airplane. And this company set out to build this airplane for the CIA, and it was unbelievable. This company tried to achieve something nobody had ever achieved before. No university, no commercial company, nothing. And I said, if I take this as an example, and they succeeded to build the U-2, and it was a surrounding success, and they worked on this for 4 to 6 years. We also study 4 to 6 years maybe. So let's call it that we have a significant problem. And this problem, when we started a university, as a group, I don't know, 50 or 100 young students, we start in the first semester and somehow, maybe a mentor will define our specific goal for the university, for all our 6, 8, or 10 semesters. And at the end, we want to have a solution. That when I finish my university study and have my PhD or whatever, that I have also solved a specific problem for society, for the community where I'm living in. I have not only learned something, but I invented something. I've created something. I solved a real world problem. So I said, can we integrate this? So this moonshot experiment, I see that students, they just study for the purpose of study. And then when they finish the study, they say, and what I do now with my life? And I say, this can't be it. And I see when this typical garage example of the US, that you just, if you're fascinated of something, you go in your garage and you build something. Why can we not orient a university at the whole complexity of a university education to solve something really complex, to invent something, to come up with some new solution? And your idea, GPT says, of integrating a significant real-world project in a university education is indeed a compelling one. Did I tell you that I like my GPT-4? I really like it. It aligns well with the principle of experimental learning and problem-based learning, and it would certainly add a level of purpose and motivation to a student's university journey. Here's how such a model would look like. You have a project-based curriculum. So at the start of your university journey, students should be presented with a significant real-world problem that aligns with their field of study. If you study biotechnology or pharmacology, why is not your thing that you have to come up with a new molecule that maybe can, let's take the classical example, cure cancer? So you have a central focus of your whole university over there. Interdisciplinary. Given the complexity of most real-world problems, you need to collaborate with different groups. You need multiple disciplines to come up with a solution. So you have baked into your university education here this interdisciplinary learning, this interdisciplinary innovation, this cooperation with different students from different disciplines. I think this is great. Mentorship, again, guidance. Facility member and industry professional could serve as mentors, providing guidance, if they have the time. Continuous assessment. Instead of your traditional exams, that are the questions you can exchange from the students that are 1 or 2 semesters above you, students' progress could be assessed based on their contribution to the project. You have to learn, I don't know, mathematics. You have to learn about the different bonding aspects that you have in a chemical molecule, representation, reports, demonstration of your work. Great, final outcome. By the end of your university, students will not have only a degree, but also a tangible solution to a real-world problem. Imagine, you can make now a product. You can go now out and say, hey, I start my own company. I have found something brand new. I apply here brand new knowledge in a combination or intermixed with other disciplines to solve something that is of importance for our society. And this, of course, opens the path to lifelong learning. And this is, I think, an interesting approach. So I said, okay, but since now I provided some ideas, what if you now, GPT, search the internet on the future of university education, let's say in the Western world, and maybe integrate here Asia? What are the main trending ideas that the university themselves have? Search internet resources. What is the dominant trend now? How a university should evolve? And I was a little bit disappointed with the current classical, traditional future of university education ideas are. Have a look at this. Learning from everywhere. Okay, learning should happen beyond the confines of a physical campus. We had the global pandemic, which forced schools and university to pivot to online teaching. Yes, of course. The pandemic also highlighted, my goodness, the importance of skill that supplement traditional learning. Yes, of course, you have to be fascinated. You must feel it, the passion for your topic. Workforce, cultural and technological shifts, involving or adapting the curriculum to meet the needs of the future workforce. This is boring, this is dry, you can do better, GPT-4. Combination of in-person and virtual learning. Okay, hybrid model, best of both worlds, blah, blah, blah. This is just the classical non-content providing, no brand new idea providing approach. Yeah, and then I have something that I thought of a lot in the last time here. When I started, for example, physics at my university in Vienna, I never thought that culture would be a topic I ever would encounter in my life. But now, I think the way we work and the way we learn in our community and the way how the community behaves around us and how we integrate in the community, there are cultural aspects, cultural components that are important in our evolutionary path, in our lifelong learning, in our educational learning. We cannot neglect anymore. So in this augmented university education for students, can we use culture as a empowerment, as a strong driving force that motivates us in some way or form? And GPT-4 comes back, integrate a cultural evolutionary path into an augmented universal education, and lifelong learning involves acknowledging and addressing the cultural factors that influence learning. Yes, that's what I told you. I mean, come on. So, cultural awareness and inclusion. Universities should foster a culture of inclusivity where diverse perspectives are valued and respected, incorporate cultural studies, promote cross-cultural exchanges, support for students from diverse backgrounds, community engagement. Engage with the local community. Yeah, maybe solve a problem of the local community that you have right around you. Help students understand the cultural context in which they are learning and working today. And their learning has to have a perspective that they do something for the community, for the civilization. It is not just to produce research paper nobody reads. Cultural adaptability. Individuals should be encouraged to adapt to different cultural contexts. We have to learn all the beauty of different cultures. Develop intercultural communication skills. I have none, but I would love to have one. Being able to be open to new experiences. Learning materials. The methods could be culturally relevant, reflect the cultural context of the learning, make learning experience more meaningful, and cultural exchange platforms. And this motivated me because I thought, hey, what about the idea that we use these virtual learning capabilities and it is virtual communication platforms that we have today to get in touch, also in our university education, with other groups from different cultures that may be researching the same topic like I do here in Vienna, but maybe in Asia, or maybe in Africa, or maybe in South America. Maybe their way of thinking or their way of how to solve a problem from their cultural background. They have a different approach. Maybe they have a different way of thinking, a different way of framing the problem, you know? How we can integrate this as a motivational aspect to enrich here this multicultural approach and this creativity and this problem solving in our university education augmented idea. And GPT-4 comes back and says, hey, absolutely. Integrating a multicultural approach into this augmented university education can greatly enhance the learning experience and foster creativity and innovation. So global collaborations. University could set up collaborative project that involves students from different cultural backgrounds, facilitated by different digital platforms, work together regardless of their location. Cultural exchange programs, not just to learn a language, but to learn really the core of different cultures, to understand that your way, your classic or my classical way, that I think as a Westerner is not the only way to tackle a problem, you know? Cultural awareness and understanding. I think when I was in Japan, the way the society and each individual in the society takes care about not to disturb your neighbor. I mean, really, in the train, really, the neighbor standing right next to you, they are not talking. They're quiet. They're respecting here your privacy. It's fascinating, this idea. Multicultural course content, designing corporate perspective from different cultures. Make people and students aware that if they study, I don't know, in Harvard, this is not the only way to study. There's so much more to experience in this world. Language learning. The more languages you know, the better you can communicate globally. Cultural sensitivity training. Help to understand that your perspective and the way that you think, that you see things, is not the only way there is. Be thrown into a multicultural environment. Enjoy here this multitude of cultural values that you can dive into. So, yeah, this is where I ended. So this is, I think, close now to 2 o'clock in the morning. Great that you came with me on this journey. But you see how fragile I try to find ideas and how clumsy am I in my formulation. Okay, English is not my mother tongue, but you know, here you see clearly this is how unprofessional I express my ideas. And then you see here GPT-4 answers here in this, how do you call this, template-oriented repeat, what everybody already repeated and what GPT-4 learned in its training data set and read on its dominant sources in the internet. So I see, just look at this, my stumbling here that I try to formulate something, and look here the way GPT-4 formulates something based on a template and comes up with information and facts and reflects on my opinion. This is great, but you can clearly see, talking about programs that identify, was this written by a human, like this stumbling here, or was this formulated by an artificial intelligence? I think if you tackle a real problem, you immediately see what a human has written and what was the reply by an artificial intelligence system. So this is it for today. I mean, for today in the morning. I have now my 2 o'clock coffee. Thank you. Hope to see you soon.